everybody, and welcome back to this week's exciting instalment of Wednesday's Reflexology Wisdom. And we are going to carry on with our, dare I say it, box set from Peter Mackereth. So today we're going to be looking at his next exciting project, which is all about a trial that he's going to be doing on needle phobia. So he's going to be introducing this. He's going to be talking about the importance of language as well. You're going to hear some very, very key words that Peter uses during treatments. We're going to be getting some practical demonstrations as well. And then, well, I tell you what, I'm going to stop waffling. Let's go and enjoy what Peter's got to teach us, and then I'll come in at the end and tell you what's happening next.
So Jane Sheehan, we were talking about Jane earlier. She's currently editing a book around reflexology and cancer care. So I've done 3 chapters with her. One on the background to what is cancer with a colleague, Tim Jackson, who's a very experienced nurse and manager in oncology, and then a chapter on hypnoreflexology, which is the use of language and therapeutic relationship in reflexology. And then the other chapter is on combining a protocol using acupressure points which overlap with reflexology to support patients with peripheral neuropathy, which is a condition that people who've gone through oncology treatments, so chemotherapy related peripheral neuropathy, which I've been involved in a major study on acupuncture. But in that study, we gathered information about living with peripheral neuropathy, and a number of the patients had used reflexology to help them with symptoms of CIPN, chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy. And so my next project is going to be around using that reflexology protocol. So we won't be needling people. We're going to be using work on the hands and the feet in order to help see if it...
You've got another project in the pipeline. There's no holding you down, is there?
It's in early development. I mean, we've been doing case studies in the past, but it really, I'm wanting to do something with patients who are living with CIPN that's not needle based, because needling somebody is expensive, number one. Some patients don't particularly want to be needled, and it's about teaching them.
Can I just say, this is a brilliant segue. Yes, because I do believe you've also done something with needle phobia as well, haven't you? Have you not?
Yes.
So useful for what you're just talking about there as well.
So, you know, what as we all know as reflexologists, that when you start working on people's feet, their hands often can feel clammy and can feel warm sometimes. And we may have noticed that veins become a bit more dilated on the hands when we're working the feet. And then we have to think of the what do we call it, the early brain, and the fact that at one point we were walked on all fours, so our feet and hands are connected. And if we think of the central sulcus of the brain, all of that sort of innovation where, you know, the crossovers and the connections between motor and sensory and all of that are connected. So if we could do things with the feet that actually have an effect on the hands, and we've got this nurse who's desperately looking for a super duper vein in which to cannulate, and you've got a patient who's perhaps been coming for chemotherapy and has had a nurse or a doctor try and find a super duper vein and not being able to do that. And so when they come the next time, the anxiety builds, and their veins start to become very shy, and they're thinking, oh, this isn't going to be successful. I'm going to end up having to have a central line rather than a peripheral line, or just, you know, I'm going to have struggle just to have my bloods done today. So one of my goals is to encourage people to see a reflexologist before they have cannulation before they go for bloods. And I've often gone with someone to the phlebotomist at Christie's and said, I'll do some work on your feet while the phlebotomist is finding a beautiful vein. And
You said that so nicely as well.
So again, language is everything. Worst thing you can say to a patient is, you've got crappy veins. You say beautiful veins. So there's a very simple technique, lots of techniques you can do to raise veins. One is simply putting the hand under a warm tap, which is very simple. Be hydrated when you come for your treatment or for your bloods. Don't smoke. I mean, I'm a big anti-smoker, so we could do a whole session on reflexology and smoking cessation. So, because carbon monoxide narrows blood vessels, we don't want that. So yeah, we want people to be chilled out. So a little technique people can do is raise their hands for a count of 10 and put themselves in a lovely hypnotic trance by counting down from 10 to 9 to 8.
I'm going to do this with you.
You can. Arms can get heavier and heavier and heavier, coming down to 5 and 4 and 3. And then we're going to be thinking about bringing the hand down, and 2 and 1. And we're going to be looking at the veins and noticing how large and gorge they can become. And we can just float over the surface of the hand, and they are gorgeous, gorgeous veins. And so I will be teaching somebody to do this. So my wonderful model here would have their arm up in the hand, and I would be working.
Let's introduce them properly. This is Stephen, everybody.
The model, who's actually tuned into some music, and because we've been talking, and he's drifted off. No, he's away. Okay, so just doing some wonderful work on the feet. I sometimes just get people to this idea of heavier and heavier is a very useful little trigger phrase. So, Stephen, if I can encourage you just to become aware of your feet in my hands. I'm just lifting the model's feet. And Stephen, what I'd like you to do is notice that your feet are becoming heavier and heavier. And it's almost as if your feet are being pulled down and down. Just noticing that all the tension in your body is melting out through the toes, and your feet are just sinking beautifully into the couch. And as I'm working, you might notice your hands become warmer and warmer, and the lovely nurse there is finding a gorgeous vein. And within a few moments, we'll have that all sorted. So you just focus on me working your feet. And if you'd like, just take a moment and take a comfy breath in. And then breathe out, letting the breath go. And quite often, that's a point when I notice the nurse is popping in the needle.
Just flipped it in there, yeah.
I usually say to the nurse, don't say scratch coming.
No.
Get on with your job. If the patients know they've come for bloods, and if they're focusing on my voice, and we're doing some point work, maybe working solar plexus, or working a particular point on the foot, then I encourage them to focus on that. I particularly like some points I like working. There's a dip here. I don't think you can see it on camera. If I put my finger,
that's better. Yes,
and
yes.
I push the foot back and forth.
This is in the actual crease of the ankle.
Yeah.
At the anterior of it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So we've got the malleolus either side.
Yes.
Straight over, and we're into a dip if you push the foot forward. So at this point, we know from reflexology this is all to do with lymphatics and what have you. But also it's quite useful to think about that, to do with lymphatics, veins and stuff. And obviously we have the same point at the hand here. It's another dip.
Yeah.
And in acupressure and acupuncture, this is stomach 41, which is a point that we work to improve the health of the feet or the hands. So there's an equivalent point. It's a triple energy point.
I'm just holding it just here. I've just had to do it.
Yes. I will work on this point when I'm starting a session.
Oh, I love the rocking.
And sometimes even say to my client or patient, Steve, would you just gently push your foot towards me? Thank you. And then just let the foot go and notice your body sinking and oh yes, look, that hand has gone in beautifully. Well done, So, you can just, and of course the nurse is chilling out because you're facilitating what comes to be almost like a shared space of relaxation. So this is a good point, and I say it improves the flow to the feet, and it will be having an effect on the hands, and it will be improving the flow. So working it on one side, or you can do it on both sides together. Yeah. So you could do breath work with this, breath in, and then let the breath go, and then just do some windscreen wipers. So
I like that.
41, a good relaxer to open the feet. And if as I say, in stomach 41 is used for the well-being of the feet or hands. So yeah, is that all right?
Fabulous. Now, so this is all with MS to start with then, isn't it?
Originally, yes. Of course, in the world of MS, patients come in when they're in acute phase, and they may well have medication intravenously while they're going through the acute phase. And there's some interesting work going on in MS around using certain chemotherapy agents as well to affect the process in certain types of MS. So sometimes I met patients in the MS clinics who are having IV therapy of one sort or another, and I would do reflexology while they'd come in as a day patient for their treatment. And they'd be having bloods done, etc. So I did that for a number of years around my PhD. And then, of course, I ended up working at Christie's.
I have to say huge thanks to Peter for the information that he's shared thus far. And again, I am diving in because we've had to cut this brilliant interview that he did into segments. So apologize if I seem to be just popping up when I shouldn't be, because, well, I am. So next week, we are going to have a break from Peter, because we've also got a really important, but it's also a time-sensitive interview with Michelle Stringer, who is head of training and education at the Association of Reflexologists. And it's time important because, of course, there's an awful lot of people looking to train in reflexology at about this time of year. And so I thought it was really important we popped her interview in before we get into September, being sort of like mid to late August at the moment. So Michelle Stringer next week, and then we're back again with Peter Mackereth the following week. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you've enjoyed what Peter has so generously shared with us today. And I hope that you are going to really look forward to meeting Michelle Stringer. And if you are interested in learning reflexology, this is an interview not to miss. Okay, so until this time next week, stay well, stay safe, and take good care of yourselves.